So close your bets on the map. And it is Nile Delta. Okay, okay. That's a new map added into the Woodbuild Balance patch 103. It has been worked upon and it's quite specific, especially in team games. It's quite interesting as you have the TCs in the forefront that are meant to promote some extra aggressive play. On the left side, we will see quite soon a water body, so that's something going for the water, and well, player is the one spawning on the left, so he will be going for the water there. In the pocket they have Sensui and then they have Fen on the right side, who is the farthest from the water, and well, the starting positions otherwise are pretty much okay with normal hunt. And what is also important about this map, that all the gold is basically in the middle. It's not, you don't have any safe gold at the back, everything is in the middle and such, so you have to fight for the map control, otherwise you're pretty much toast. That's going to be one of the problems for Rangers as an Eggy, who will have to somehow secure the position in the middle. And yep, exactly, he is going for that right now. And well, 5% Hoplite, Spearman, Ufsark, Murmilla, and that's it. And right now Killer Boy is saying that he can't make dog because he went he went for the hunting dogs, so that means that Brighead will be the only one for the water so far who didn't really screw up in this. And well, let's see if that decision to go for the land for Killer Boy will be the correct one. He is going for some very nice hunt that's very close to his TC, so he doesn't need extra ox card actually for gathering from that, and he shouldn't be having all that much problem. But well, Killer Boy going for the water as well, but he will be having an extra advantage in the hunt here through the hunting dogs that he researched just a bit earlier. So that's going to be interesting, as that's a bit unusual water build for him. On the left, that's of course Sensui joining the water battle to be together with player, and they are having a pretty sweet spot for the dogs as they are on this map. Well, so far it seems like Fan is going into the middle to try and see where all the gold is, and yeah, he right now knows where he has to secure the position on the map and be sure that he isn't surprised himself. So faster infantry build time, that's pretty great for Zeus, obviously. So he needs to secure that, and on the relic, hero damage versus Smith units, that's pretty awesome, especially for Greek again, against Titans.
Yes.
Or for example, priests against Colossi later in the game. 5 human soldier piece armor, pretty great. 4 Norse, especially I would say. And well, let's see how the game develops further. As Rangers has already captured the relic of the Hoplite, Spearman and whatnot attack, which is going to help him protect or rather defend against potential raids if he goes for some classical fight. Which at this point I don't really think he will do. He will probably go for some normal, faster heroic, but we'll see soon enough, I guess. We are at 2 minutes 40. And looking at the gold, it's right nicely in the middle of the map. It will be quite important to see how well players actually take to this map. And well, player is right now dropping temple, so he will be advancing at like some standard 4.5 minutes, it seems at this point. Sensui, where is he building? Nowhere yet. He is not building his house or other temple so far, so he will be slightly slower to advance through offensive, or rather this classical age as well, that goes hand in hand. And when Fen is also halfway into the temple, as he's looking for DoDs. Brighead, dropping temple in the water, well, trying to hide it, and the Killer Boy doing the same. So it seems like Zeus on the left, the blue one player, should be the first one to advance into the classical age. Right after this Willy, I would kind of expect he might be advancing. Let's see if that's going to be the case. Otherwise, quite a lot of fishing boats from both player Sensui on the left and on the right side from both Brighead and Killer Boy as well. And yep, right now at this point the player is just waiting for the extra resources for his Hermes. Right now 12% in. Sensui also advancing at 12%. 12%, Fan 32, so he will be actually the fastest one. Well, that's curious. And well, Rangers is trying to secure his base, and he will probably go for the faster heroic and play a standard build order as per usual for a land Eggy. 18% into Freya for Brighead, and for city 31% for the red player. Let's check some other upgrades, maybe if they are being researched or not. It doesn't really seem so at this point. This is going to be a pickaxe, of course, for the opponents from TSM. Hunting dogs for Fen. Nothing for Sensui, because he would have to build his economy guild, which would be just a waste of food at this start. And pickaxe for player as well. Okay, so Fen is the first to advance into Hermes, and player won't be far behind, so they are not going for an aggression. And even one restoration, so they will be hoping they can win on the water 1v1, or rather 1v1, without extra help from their supporting god powers. And this should result in an interesting situation on the right, because I fully expect that Fen will be going for pretty much standard Zeus here. He's going for a second TC, the front one, secure it to make sure that he has a better position at this gold, and protects this one and this one as well. And then he will just drop the stable and try to raid Rangers and try to stop him from building a Migdol at the next gold, which is probably going to be here, right next to the TC. I would expect that this is going to be a point where he will go for the Migdol or this one. These two are the candidates, but this is a bit more defensible and will be easier to defend for him in that way. So first, battles on the water are happening here between Sensui player and their opponent's Killer Boy with Brighead. With Brighead so far having an army somewhere else, as he was having a bit of a fight here with Sensui's boats at the top, and well, TSM are kind of fighting themselves in a bad fight. They should really think about disengaging, because they are closer to their opponent's docks and they are getting extra fire, and the reinforcements are arriving slightly faster for their opponents, and this is not a fight you want to take at this point, so they better be careful. And this is more or less equal, so let's have a look what's happening somewhere else on the land. Right now Fan was trying to see what was happening somewhere in the attack, which means that his scout will be, oh well, almost killed by the Sphinx. Possibly saved, just with 7 health, but it will lead Sphinx somewhere to scout for himself, which will probably result in the Death Oracle. Maybe, or maybe also not, so at this point I'm not really sure, but this Kataskopos is very well placed and potentially a threat for dots, as TSM will know when the TC is going up, and potential threat from the Underworld passage. So on the water, TSMs have played it right, and they have been able to outmaneuver their opponents. Right now they are decisively winning, and they have basically won the game. But on Nile Delta, winning the water is not exactly crucial. What is much more crucial is winning the middle and securing the gold. And Rangers is working on it full time, as he's trying to build a lot of walls to prevent raiding, and at the same time make sure that he protects gold and TCs as well. So he's doing a pretty good job at that, and Fen is trying to do something similar so that he isn't surprised by Rangers. Rangers is right now not doing anything substantial, he's just preparing for his faster advance to Heroic. Yep, here we have Nephthys, and this should result in prosperity pretty soon as well, I think. Here we have it. And yep, this is Fen trying to take down the obelisk so that Fen or Rangers doesn't have a clear line of sight and potentially has an opportunity to steal it for himself. Right now Odysseus with Jason try to stop the Sphinx, but they won't, and the scout will die before he takes down the obelisk. So goodbye scout team, that's it for this. And well, right now this is the Brighead's position with his army, trying to potentially take the TC himself so that the position is secure as much as possible. I would expect some serious fight for the TC on the right. Sorry. As on the left, player has already captured his front TC as well, so he's mimicking Fena right now, but he is having a huge advantage of the water economy, and well, not even Rangers, who was trying to build his dock here to help, is going to help. He is probably hoping to supply some siege ships when he advances into Heroic, which is right now, and well, this is going to be the point where Fen will hope to somehow stop the big roll from coming up, which right now isn't, and well, Brighead is capturing the TC, where we have seen him at. And does have Fen enough army here? Well, just a few Marine Cavalry, or rather hippie guns, and well, this is the position where he actually goes for a Migdol. So he is trying to secure this right part of the map, and at the same time, he is hoping to make sure that the TC stays reasonably within his reach, and is not somehow ripped out of his hands. Killer Boy has made his way through into the middle, where Sensui has been cast upon Spy, so that he won't be gathering gold anytime soon without raiding. But Fen is retreating back, and he will be engaging in a pretty good fight. And if Loki gets some mythical spawns, Jason together with Odysseus are going to take care of them. But at the same time, it means that Fen is kinda stretching himself thin, and he better be prepared for the chariot archers and potentially elephants from rangers who will be coming in pretty soon. Boy is right now making an appearance in Fen's base, trying to locate some of the villies, which he will at the back, but they have just finished gathering, so that's not really any problem whatsoever, as he will be having to switch his hunting grounds yet again. And well, since Sensui is at 2 TCs also, this puts the game basically at even grounds, but for the fact that TSM player is at 3 TCs, booming as much as he can, and Rangers is at just 1 TC, but I think once the siege works are done, he might be going for the TC quite soon himself. And since Fen doesn't have really enough army here against those double Scorpion men and the extra Migdol firepower, he might not be able to actually take down what is coming here, and yeah, he better be careful, because this might turn against him quite substantially, especially with Brighead staying back with his army and trying to form a beachhead here and protect Rangers' front TC. So this is a pretty well played on the right side, and on the left nothing much is happening, just since we're having some extra protection of the choke point here, and well, not much happening on the water, just a player trying to close the deal here as much as he can. Killer Boy just raiding here, but not really anything threatening, so let's have a look at the TCs, see how our players potentially are advancing. Fen not going anywhere. Player 70% into Apollo. Have nothing from Killer Boy, from Brighead. Nothing either, he's going for full classical fight, as they are right now engaging near Fen's base, and that's a pretty decent army. And player calls for a ceasefire, which was, I think, kinda okay. Yeah, looking at the map overall, he really couldn't afford actually Rangers together with Brighead killing this TC from Fen. He needs to be able to boom as much as he can and potentially research medium cavalry. That's exactly what he needs, and once that happens, that's a huge no-no for DoD, because that's a pretty good step up, both hit points and the armory. So yep, you just have to retreat at this point, and well, this gives some time to Rangers to capture his front TC and Killer Boy to capture the back one. So no shenanigans with Underworld Passage yet, but these goatees are still here, and the way is open potentially if they want. On the water, Rangers is trying to go into their back with siege ships. So player has to be careful, because otherwise he will be surprised, and well, yep, finally he is here and he knows what's happening. Yep, he will probably be up to it quite soon, because he is himself almost into Apollon. So the middle right now is just kind of a stalemate, as we are waiting for players to advance into their proper ages, and right now this is a proper 3 versus 3 it seems, and a pretty huge battle, and yep, Shockwave, that's counting, and we have some others testing got powers, not really, just that, yeah, just these guys, ancestors, together with the Eclipse. And that's a pretty huge battle, because this will probably not go all that well for TSM, as those ancestors will be having a pretty strong push forward. And, well, the TSMs have to play it right, because if they lose this TC, they might be at a position that might be a tad too hard to actually defend for them. And well, right now they are retreating, because they don't want to fight the ancestors by themselves. Well, this is an opportunity for Deities of Death to make something lasting happen here. They are also going into some of those villies here with a bit of Killer Boys Hersiers, and that's not something that Fen will be all too happy about. So the TC will be going down, but that might be just a bit temporary, because as soon as the ancestors are gone, it might be just turning around yet again. Deities of Death are not having any upgrades really, and the sheer power of the Greek army should be enough to turn the battle around. Yep, so ancestors are gone, and right now it will be time for TSM to somehow do something against that, but they need a lot of Toxots to deal with this huge amount of throwing axemen, because there's like 20 of them, and that's a pretty strong army right there. On the left, not much happening so far, but it seems like player is preparing. So Senso in the heroic, which I would guess means that player will be switching into mythic pretty soon, and 50% into Hephaestus. And at the same time, Killer Boy just now advancing into Bragi. And is it going to be the same for a breakhead? Not yet. It happened, I missed it? No, I haven't. So he isn't. And well, the battle is still raging on quite strongly, and that's another ceasefire being cast, and that's because Ben wants his third TC back. He definitely wants the TC back, and he will finish the wall, and this will all result in the situation normalizing and giving a player all the time he needs to advance into the mythic, upgrade through Hephaestus, and be the mythical Zeus beast that he needs to be. Killer Boy, again, as we have seen last game, trying to make some fun at the back. Some surprising attack, but it's very close to the TC, so it should be seen, but still the army is pretty strong. So somebody has to go there, otherwise the trade route is going to be disrupted, and that's not something what the player wants at this point, since he needs a lot of gold for his Colossi, and it's actually somebody from DSM paying attention to it. It seems they aren't. They are right now very much engaged in just the middle, and this was a pretty clever use of the ceasefire to build some military buildings right inside enemy's base, so that he makes extra units right inside it. So that's pretty nice play right there. And flaming weapons will be a bit of a problem, I think, here, because the ceasefires are all gone. And we will see a double flaming weapons. At this point, I would actually say that it's a pretty good idea. And I would go for both of them. So without the ceasefire being in play from TSMs, this could actually decide the game right here and right on the spot. Because TSMs can't really fight against double ceasefire at this point at all. So, here you can see that even though TSMs won the water, that's not the most important part of this game, as right now the better transition into land and faster aggression from DoDs is what's making the difference at this point. And we are still waiting for TSM player to make a proper appearance with all his advanced, or rather upgraded Myrmidons, and until that happens, the battle is not going to go all that well for TSMs. Right now Fen is losing 1 TC, this TC is going to be lost as well, and is he going at least heroic? No, he isn't. But Sensui is also through Hecate into Mythical Age, and well, Fen is right now fighting himself at a pretty bad spot, as he is gonna get killed here, and Tartarian Gate is being cast at Killer Boy's home base, trying to deny him at least a few of those fillies here on the food gathering, and also having a birdie on the gold gatherers here, which is pretty nice played, pretty nicely played indeed. At the same time, Killer Boy right now casting his own flaming weapons, so he is just using the opportunity that the flaming weapons from Breakhead has opened, and they are pursuing what they can. Right now, Rangers hasn't been touched all game, so he is having quite a lot of echo and a lot of resources to capture the TC, and unless player can do something surprising, like literally surprising, kinda thinking this is a pretty bad game looking right now for TSMs, but last game on Megalopolis we have seen that they have been able to stay in it for quite some time still, and they still might. Nightingale being cast in a pretty offensive position, having a clear line of sight due to this Willy. They have some kind of cut power to use it. No, they don't. But this is this side safe. And do we see something interesting somewhere else? Just the building here, a bit of a raiding from Red, which Sensui is not paying any attention to, which is a mistake. And well, Rangers is right now closing in on Fen, who is at 1 TC and doesn't have literally anything. Breakhead is stealing his main TC, and the situation is getting so dire. An Underworld passage has been cast at the back here and trying to disrupt Killer Boy's market and also his TCs. At this point, if this surprise attack is the correct answer, I'm not exactly sure, but they are basically trying to do something different, which is a good idea, because they recognize that Fan's base basically lost, and it will be up to Sensui by himself to defend against it, and well, player will be hoping that he can, with this Underworld passage, somehow disrupt what is happening in DoD's bases enough, so that he can recapture the TC, and right now he's going for it, and he will be at 4, so that's a pretty good play, and this little army is not going to stop that at all. So Tartarian Gate finally stopped by Piggies for Green arriving at the scene, and see some extra upgrades, yeah, Balder, and Ragnarok, even though without flaming weapons, is going to be pretty strong here, and TSM player has to hurry up, because he definitely needs this TC as soon as possible to make a proper difference in the game as the Mythical Zeus with all the upgrades. So Underworld Passage is pretty much gone, as there is not any army that player can somehow stop this with. He has just normal units and just Odysseus, so not enough heroes. And well, will he be able to somehow repair it? Well, he might, he just might. Come on. That's super close. So one piggy down. Odysseus needs to hit quite well, and they seem to be repairing slightly faster than the piggies are taking it down, so pretty good job on that. And once that finishes, yep, so the Underworld Passage is actually safe, and trade route is being disrupted, and Titan is also up, and Fen is already moving into player's base, and well, let's see what this Titan can do. With the extra TC that he's going to steal from Killer Boy, he won't really mind the less population limit, and he still should be able to stop the attack from his opponents. So right now, Ragnarok being cast by Brighead, who is at 4 TCs, and they are going very slowly, and somehow Fen has been able to survive at the bottom, and he is advancing into Apollo, and probably hoping to get into some heroic age. Looking back up, it will definitely result in the TC being captured, so for TC player, Mythical Zeus, Heavy Paspists, and okay, that's a pretty large threat right now, and the Titans are going to rectify the situation at the bottom of TSM bases, as they will put Brigade's TCs and Rangers as well out of commission. At least those two will be gone, and they will be open for Fen to retake, who will be in the heroic age, and at this point he didn't really lose all that villies, it seems. But he better be careful about the Ragnarok. He's just arriving in the middle of the base here, and they need to take care of it as much as they can. Again, Brigade has split his army, and together with Killer Boy, they are aiming to take down the TC from player, which they might, because he isn't having a lot of defenses here, even though he has built some extra towers. This is not enough. And Dodo heroes of Ragnarok have enough upgrades? No, they don't. They are probably being researched just now, but 45 TC at 4000 hit points is quite a lot. And well, unfortunately for player, this fort is not going to stay, and he doesn't have enough resources to actually repair, or he does. He was just at full, and he is losing a ton of villies here, and he better be careful what he does there. Rangers is trying to raid with some of his chariots being pursued by Sensui, and Sensui is the one who is trying to hold the middle against those heroes of Ragnarok, and he did quite successfully. They have almost all been killed, so that was a pretty damn good job by Sensui, who is having almost none upgrades, so that's kinda surprising. And Rangers is pushing everywhere he can with some siege towers, but that's not really going to cut it. So let's go back to the top, where player is right now going full on, sending absolutely everything through the Underworld passage and doing damn well good job in repelling both the heroes of Ragnarok, who are all dead. This point it seems like they are absolutely all dead just for this small amount here. And that's not a good sign, because it will take Brigade quite some time to actually get back into the game, if he can altogether. And he will be without anything, and he will be reliant on a lot of resources distributed, possibly from Rangers, who is right now at 4 TCs, rather 3 TCs, and trying to recapture the one that has been killed by his opponent Titan. Fen is right now not yet taken the TC, which he should be, as they were trying to deal with all those Ragnarok heroes, and maybe Fen is in resources to his allies. At this point I'm not exactly sure, but the battle here is definitely not going greatly for the DoDs right now, and the battle is right now turning against them. So as strong as the initial push was in the early heroic for Deities of Death, right now the push in the Mythic is insanely strong from Tsunami Clan, and player did insanely good job in defending the Underworld passage and keeping it alive. So well, that might be the play of the game, because right now it seems to be the only thing that is holding two players, Brighead and Killer Boy, just by himself in the defensive, just by himself, at literally one spot, and the Titan is going to kill all of these extra TCs here without any defense whatsoever, and he's still at 6,000 hit points almost, which should result in possibly Sensui taking the TC here, and he will be controlling the position without too much problems, I guess. We still have doubled ults, so one bolt into the Needhawk, so goodbye, and sleep tight. And another Titan gate being built right now by Sensui, and that's a pretty offensive spot, but he cast it because of the Underworld passage, so that his ally TSM player can actually go back if need be to protect it against his opponents. So Brigade has lost the TC to the Titan if you look at the minimap, but at the same time Rangers is taking Fence home TC, which is absolutely horrible oversight for TSMs. This could allow them to get back into the game, because Rangers is for the whole game untouched, and he's right now fully boomed, I think, and quite decently upgraded, even though not fully, and I'm not exactly sure why Fan did not capture the TC. It was just open there for so long, and player is right now having all kinds of troubles dealing with this army of both Brickhead and Killboy. Even though he is at 4 TCs, 20 pop is still consumed in this guy here. Right now Rangers is having all this extra pop free to actually take care of the Titan with the priests, but Sensui has got in the middle of the trade and is killing everything he can, and that's another bummer for Deities of Death. Let's have a look into the middle of the bases here, and Fan is finally advanced at least into Heroic, or rather Mythic, and he's having 4 Colossi here, so yep, that's the TC not going to stay for a whole lot longer, but still, he better be careful about this position, because the Mercenary still can make an appearance at any moment, and yeah, Temple is being built, and that's going to result into mummies, and he should stop that from happening. Come on, Fan, come on, you need to stop this. Otherwise, you are going to be put out of the game yet again. But Brickhead is at this point at 0 TCs. Player is joining his army with his Titan as well, and he will be killing TC from Killboy as well, and he should be having quite decent advantage in military numbers at this point, so that he isn't surprised by anything. I just see a very interesting dot on the minimap here, and that's dots trying to somehow disrupt the water economy, but they are not really pursuing with that strongly enough, which means that is as good as nothing on there. And it's not like TSMs are actually relying on the water economy at this point. Come on, you shouldn't really take on the army here. And you can see that Deities of Death are having all 3 military armies from Rangers, Killerboy and Brickhead at the one spot defending against one player. Namely, player. And yeah, you can't need to go somewhere else with the Titan. Just kill the TC and put them out of commission. Come on. Come on. Another Titan being built by Sensui, and he will be going to the bottom and trying to make sure that Rangers is not a threat anymore, and leaves Sven in a comfortable position to go for whatever he wants to do. Yep, this Titan is probably just going to make sure that the trade route is not continuing, and at this point I'm not exactly sure where he is going. I just hope he isn't thinking about defending some kind of wonder or anything, because they are definitely having the upper hand here, and I wouldn't like to see that happen here. Still just medium toxots, not exactly sure why he isn't researching something extra. Heavy Paspis also still missing champions, but well, he is doing quite well even with that. And once the upgrades arrive, he will be in a much better position indeed. In the middle, the TC is not being captured by anyone yet. Killer Boy is having some extra Ulfsarks near it, so probably he is interested, but he will be probably a tad too late, as Sensui has just finished this palace, securing some extra gold and going for another palace, making sure that the healing spring is his, and then the TC will follow quite soon. So his Titan is right now, yeah, freeing Fen from the oppression of Rangers. And yep, here we see some extra minions, and these are former Colossi, I'm pretty sure about it, but Bellerophon will kill the mummy here as much as he can and as soon. Yep, just one shot zip. and this is just a delay in here on the left, or rather on the bottom. At the top, player is still having a bit of a problems here, doing what he can with all this army here, but still he is binding a lot of army from Rangers together with Killer Boy, who is just at 1 TCs with player's Titan still very much alive, and he should right now make a stand inside the middle here and somewhere stop this huge trade route for Rangers, because once that stops, he's basically out of commission because he won't be able to supply production whatsoever. And yep, that's his goal right now, and he should kill Rangers as soon as he can, and he is aiming there, it seems. Yep, since we're right now capturing the TC in the middle, and even though Fan has lost the main TC, he didn't really mind as he was being helped by the Titan there, and he does have enough army and military presence right now in the Prodromos and Lilies as well, so that he can recapture as soon as the TC is down. Sensui is also doing some pretty nice building spam, trying to make sure that he can make something happen at both sides, which he can, and right now Fan finally going for a second TC and should be arriving at reasonable TC numbers pretty soon. The Sensui's Titan is inevitably going through here and resulting in Rangers' TCs going down, but also it means that player is having problems here defending his position as he is losing the TC to those catapults together with the Fiery Giant, and well, he is right now at 3 and he will lose the Underworld passage, but with the TCs here, come on, you need to kill the trait. Kill the trait right now, and if he does, and the second Titan does his job, it will allow Fan to get back into the game fully, and he will be the second mythical Zeus, taking the relay from his ally player. It's just a base, so nothing really interesting. Some army here, and well, Sensui is at 4 TCs and he is moving forward here very cleverly, just making sure that he is protected and has some spot to go back with his release, and he is inevitably advancing forward, trying to divide his enemies, just like Caesar did, and well, is successful so far. Even though does have clear line of sight through the spy, he is being unopposed so far. So player has been, after some like 10 minutes or whatnot, pushed out of his position at the back of Red's base, which is slight respite for him, but he is already preparing at the forefront, and he will be pushing right now together with Sensui, who is already having quite a strong army in the middle and pushing through quite strongly and inevitably, as you can see. The Titan from Sensui is advancing ever further, right now taking ranges to just 2 TCs. He will be soon at 1, but he is recapturing the one at the back, and he seems like player didn't even destroy the trait, but he probably doesn't mind at this point, as Sensui is at 4 TCs. He will be at 5. He won't, because Brigade is trying to take it down, and well, they need something to get rid of those annoying fire giants, because they are super strong. And they need to do something about them, and they need what? Bellerophon. That's what they need, and player needs to send him in, and the same goes for Fan, who is trying to capture his 3rd TC. He having at least some upgrades yet? No, he is at base, but he will be soon having them, because right now he should be getting back into proper game in at 3 TCs, and soon he will be stealing this one from Rangers, and he will be at 4, and yep, that's going to be a mythical Zeus. And already having Silver Colossi, should be a TC advantage again, as in this last game, going for the victory here. But still, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because DoD are getting back into the game once they have killed supposedly lethal surprise at the back, and they are also getting a bit more on the water here, Brigade, and I wouldn't be surprised if TSM somehow made another attempt at the back there, as it's wide open, and they might be going for a second Underworld passage themselves. They still have one. Right now though, player together with Sensui have to be careful in the middle, as they are not dealing with the army properly. I'm not exactly sure where Sensui's army is, because he's having just a Titan, but I'm missing absolutely any army whatsoever. He's right now having nothing, which is rightly confounding to me, to be honest. Oh, this is why, because he went, I think, autocue Lamas, and he is absolutely overbound on them. I think that's too much for him. I'm gonna have a look quite soon. He has lost the front TC, and they are just giving the Keys of Death the opportunity here. They had the game in their hands, and they are just, I don't know, they are not paying enough attention, and they are not taking the game seriously enough. Come on, you have to take this seriously, because otherwise not even this tower spam is going to help you. We're gonna have a quick look at some of the economy here. Sensui 57, so he isn't having all that much. It's kinda curious that he isn't able to field any army. He doesn't have any army whatsoever, really, when you look at it. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. He was at 40C, so I'm completely confused as to where he is. But, well, hopefully Fan can pick up the game pretty soon. So right now player is joining with Sensui's Titan on the right, but again that's kind of a weird fight. They have to fight on the left, otherwise they are not going to be all that happy about what happens next. They mustn't also forget that this is Supremacy, so potentially dots can go for a Wonder, and same can go for TSM of course, but right now they still have their Underworld passage, so they could be protected, but well, they shouldn't let the game out of their hands once it is still in their power. Rangers has been reduced to 1 TC. From 5 he had, Brigade is at 2, Killer Boy at 3, while all 3 TSMs are at 3, but still, Sensui will be at 4 pretty soon, as he has finally recuperated with some help from player. Will be having, well, still just heavy, still missing champion Myrmidons. And right now they are eating into the middle here, and well, Fan is getting the ground under his feet and finally having quite a decent army of both Colossi and Myrmidons, medium Myrmidons still, but they are Myrmidons, and he will be at 40 Cs without any opposition because this Titan is making sure that his allies, or rather opponents, cannot put up enough army to stop them. Right now Rangers at 1 TC is pretty much no army because he has a large trade route. So he is pretty much without any pop whatsoever. So Fen right now at 4, and it will be his time to shine and take Rangers out of the game. Definitely. So, Sensui at 4 TCs, not much else happening somewhere else in the enemy bases. And well, yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about some minutes earlier. Player making another attempt at the back TC with a very nice sneaky temple at the back through the transport ship, and he is again going at it, and absolutely no army from Killer Boy or a Brighead in spot. So that's just a lot of Rangers, but he is having a not enough push here, and this is secured as much as it can be, and yep, here we go, as DoDs recognize that the game has been lost, as those two Titans were such a strong force, even against 5 TC Rangers. And well, TSMs advanced into the semi-finals against Albis Onis Lobias to 1 after some 3 damn exciting games, especially the Megalopolis, and this Nile Delta was quite fun, I have to say, so pretty good job and GG. GG, and that was a really great game. We have seen quite a lot of stuff here. Fan almost deleted out of the game. Super strong push from Ladies of Death. Then player casting Underworld Passage and deleting this TC and securing it in a pretty serious effort against strong army from Ladies of Death. And well, it paid off as he was able to hold just by himself 2 enemies by himself and let the Titan of both himself and Sensui rampage through the enemy base and let Fan into the game. GG. GG again. So let's have a look at the post game with player MVP. Yep, fully agreed. He played damn well. Nice gold from trade. Well, otherwise on par with Rangers basically. Nice military count units killed. Yeah, just supporting that he was the MVP of this match. Now we'll just look at the resources distributed. Just 7,000, that was probably into Fan. Would expect. And improvements, Brig had not enough of them as he was engaged in the classical fight there for quite some time. And pretty good one at that. But it might have cost him more use for Ragnarok there. And just at the top. But then the downfall when the Titan came and took all his TCs. Well, very nicely played. GG.